Okay, friends. It's been a while. People have been asking me about the so-called Tickle Machine and how I treat. So it's high time I made a video for everybody. This is a little bit older, beat up version of it, or just an older one when I keep it home. So forgive the mess. So basically, this is it. This is the one that I use. It doesn't have to be this one. You can also use Pantheon. There are a couple of other ones you can use, but there are a number of them that you cannot. Like the little Itos. Basically, if it's any smaller than this, you probably can't use it. And there's various reasons for that. But okay, so here's the deal. What I'm going to do is this is the Tickle Machine. And so this is the machine that I use to treat kids instead of using needles, for kids who are too old for needles, basically, once they hit a couple of months and they're moving around and stuff, or kids who are yet too young to take needles, and as you all know, it depends on the kid. I've got 4-year-olds I can needle, and I've got 44-year-olds I can't. So you know how it is. This works great in kids as an alternative to that. And it actually has some things that it allows me to do that I really, in a way, can't do with needles that I'll explain as we go. But here, let me first show you how I use it. Okay, so this is the deal. So this is a standard e-stim, so it has the four leads here for plugging in a normal alligator clips, and plugging them in back here so that you can do it on adults for orthopedic disorders or whatever you're doing. This is a standard one, but the difference here is that it also has this, which is a point finder function. So you can click it over here and it becomes a location, so it comes with a little probe so you can locate points. Usually this is done on the ear, and then you can flip the switch to stim, and then it flips it so that the probe becomes a stimulator now. Again, this is typically for the ears. They're looking for points on the ears and then stimulating them. And what this has is each of these 4 leads here is for putting needles, putting the leads to needles. This 5th one here is for the point finding function. If yours doesn't have this, it probably won't work. But like Pantheon does have this and it will work. But like I said, basically, if it's not a big one like this, it won't work. Like if it's one of those little Itos or something like that, or just a little, it probably won't work because it won't put out enough power. Because normally what'll happen, like in the little Itos where it has like 3 little leads or something you bought off Amazon or something like that, that still has alligator clips, is it's only going to have the leads for putting to the needles. And if you use one of them, it's not going to have enough power to power the to get the electricity to come through onto the skin in a way that you like. So it has to have this 5th one here, which banks all 4 of these to one, so you can get the full power of the 9-volt battery. Because otherwise, each one of these only divides up the the amount of voltage that it's going to pull from the 9-volt is minimal, whereas this one can pull from the entire battery. What you could probably do is send me an email to see if the one that you have will work. But it basically has to have a stim function of some kind. Okay. So then what we do is we take out our standard alligator clips here. And if you're smart, don't treat them like I treat these. Just, it's worth getting decent alligator clips because they'll just tend to last longer. They probably have somewhat better conduction, I suppose. Okay, so here's the thing. So I have my alligator clips here. First thing I'm going to do is plug this one into this one here. Okay. Then I'm going to have this switch on the stim function, not on the location function, not on the needle function, but on the so-called stim function. Then all of the power of this machine is going out of this one needle. Okay. This one lead. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is get a cotton ball. Take a standard size cotton ball. This one's actually a little big. And what you're going to do is rip it in half. You can save that half and then rip it in half again. So now you've got a quarter of the size. Like I said, this one's a touch big. It'll work out. Okay. Then after I've ripped it, what I'm going to do is get it wet. Thank you to our cat helper. Then what I'm going to do is clip what this thing is. Sometimes you got to pull these little sheaths down to be able to get it to open up wide enough. That might be enough. Okay. So then you can clip this guy on here. And then what you have here is a little stimulator. It's a wet cotton ball. So the water makes it so that the conduction of the electricity is easier. So there's no stinging or anything. If you just use the bare metal, of course, it's going to be quite stingy to the skin. And this is why I don't like to use, some practitioners are advocating the use of like ear point finders, ear point stimulators. So I don't like those for two reasons. But the first one being that because it's bare metal on the skin, you can't get very strong stimulation without it stinging. This allows you to get a fair bit of stimulation with no stinging. Okay, see how small that is? You can go smaller if you want to, but don't go too much bigger. Again, this was a fairly big cotton ball, so that's what it did. Anyways, now we're in business. Okay, so for this machine specifically, I have it on the stim function. I'm going to flip the power on. Now, there's a couple of things to bear in mind here. This is your power, basically the amount of power that's going to go to here. And what I want to do is usually what I'll do is I'll start around 3. And typically you can feel it at 3. It's a good starting place. If a kid is a little shy, a little scared of me, I actually just bump it down to like nothing. Kid can't even feel it. I test on the mom, I test it on the kid. They're like, oh, I don't feel anything. And then I'll kind of slowly creep it up a little bit as I go, but you got to do it to where you feel it. As the battery runs down, you got to turn it up a little bit more to feel it. But just do it so that you can barely feel it on your skin first, and then do it on the kid. And then I like to try to creep it up a little bit. What you'll find is as they don't like it, if it's too strong, they'll pull away from it a little bit, but it's not painful or anything. One tip here, always do it on the parent first so that the parent feels it. They know it doesn't hurt. So if the kid reacts, then the parent knows, oh, this is just the kid reacting. It's not really a painful thing. And then they're on your side. Because if they haven't felt it, they don't know. Okay, the next one here is the continuous or the frequency here. I like to set it at around, maybe this rate or so, between 4 and 10 hertz. In theory, you could do it lower for more tonification, and you could do it a bit higher for more sedation, right? In the case of sedation, you can turn it up more, turn it up to a higher intensity to provide more stimulus for more dispersal of points, if you want to be fancy about it. Okay. Now, tip. What you don't want to do is, oh, funny, sometimes the video cuts out because of the frame rate, probably. What you don't want to do is you don't want to turn up the intensity all the way up to where it's going so fast that it's just going like that. Then it will buzz and it will sting the skin. You want to have it so that there's a clear on, off, on, off. Again, the frame rate is kind of messing up. You can't really see all the blips, but it's basically going at like tick, 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 or whatever it is. You want to have a clear kind of on, off here. Okay. Don't do it too high. Discontinuous, just lower that. You don't need that. The rest of these in this machine, the rest of these don't do anything. Positive and negative doesn't really matter because it's alternating current, so it doesn't really matter. So that's your basic setup. Okay, now you're off and running. Keep it on the high function. And that's it. That's all you got to do. This is all it is. Okay, wet cotton balls. And you might have to wet them again. It's nice to keep a little bowl of water. You might wet them again halfway through or something to keep that water content up, keeps the electricity flowing a little better. And then here's the trick. I was saying that the reason I don't like to use those point finders, the ear stimulators or whatever those things are that some teachers are advocating, is because number one, you can't get very high stimulus out of them without them starting to sting. This allows you to get higher stimulus, still comfortable for the kid. All they really do is feel it as like a tapping sensation, thus the euphemistically named Tickle Machine. It's not painful. The second thing that I like about these is that you can do 2 points at once. You have to do 2 points at once, actually, for this to work. You have to do both points on the skin in order to close the circuit. It's the only way that it'll work. With the point finder, you're the negative, you're the ground, and then you're only doing 1 point at a time on the kid. It takes you twice as long. So this, in a sense, is faster. You can do it for less time on the same point, but you're doing 2 points at the same time. Okay, here's how I run it. When the kid is in, I do it so that I pick 2 points at a time. And if I'm doing the feet, I think about what earth points do I want to do? Today I want to do spleen 3 and stomach 40, spleen 5, stomach 36, whatever it is. One lead goes on spleen 3, and the other one goes on stomach 36, stomach 40, whatever it is. So I'm doing 2 points at the same time. One trick here to remember, and I probably should get a kid in here, but my kid is feisty. So one trick here is if you just go like this, if you just hold the point on them like this. Remember, kids are all young, so they're always moving. And the minute they move away, you're like chasing them and trying to figure out how to get it on them. So what I like to do actually is I'll put it on the point, and then I put my finger over it like this, and then I hold their hand like this. See? Now they can move around, and yet I'm still holding the point there. They could even use this hand to grab toys or whatever, and you're not obstructing their ability to do things. So this is ideal because kids don't like to, they won't just sit still. They won't have it so that you just force them to stay in one place. So if I'm just holding it here lightly, and I'm holding it here lightly, then I'm just moving with them. So no matter what they do, they're trying to get away from me, they're trying to reach for toys, they want to do something else, I can move with them. And once they realize that I'm not constraining their movements, they're okay. They tend to stop worrying about you, and they just let you do your thing, and then you just go on. So whatever it is, if I'm doing, let's say, Sanjiao 4, I want to tonify yang in the body, then I just put the point where I want it. I put my finger like this, and then I just hold it there. Now this hand is free. They can move around. I'm moving with them. No problem. I'm not obstructing their movement. I'm touching them, but I'm not obstructing them, right? So this is really nice. And then basically I'm just holding 2 points. I can do 2 points at a time. I hold it on there for about 20 to 30 seconds. 20 to 30 seconds per point. So then I think about what wood points would I like to do? What water points would I like to do? Do them, go to the other leg, do the same ones, go to the arms. What metal points I want to do, so on. Then I like to do some chest points. I like to do back points. I'm doing 2 at a time, no problem. Now, here's where this machine is actually in some ways preferable to needles, because I can do techniques that a kid won't let me do with needles. Something I could do in adults, like kid comes in with ear infections. I can't needle behind their ear with intensity. I can't needle into their lymph nodes. I might not like to needle right into a lymph node, get that activated, get it moving. Shoot, I mean, if that lymph node is calcified, you could put e-stim on it. Nah, kid's not going to put up with that. But with these, I can increase the intensity, put it right in that area, and you'd be amazed at how much stimulus you get. My suspicion is the reason that this works so well in kids and maybe not so much in adults is because you get their kids' dermal layer is pretty thin, so you can actually access fairly deep nerves fairly easily. Like I'll use this in strabismus. Just jam one of these in UB1 and jam one in another point, stomach 1 or something, zapping their eye. They don't love it, but it doesn't hurt. And what's amazing about it is from the skin surface, you can reach the oculomotor muscles down below. It's amazing, because then you'll see their eye starts to change. You're strengthening one side, reducing the other, and that one lazy eye starts to come online. And so it's quite amazing to watch. So this allows for, I think, fairly deep stimulus. You put it around a chronically swollen lymph node or something like that, and man, it really it stimulates that lymph node and gets it moving and stuff. Things I can do with this that I can't do with a needle, and that I can't do with an ear point stimulator. Because the ear point stimulator will sting before you get a chance to really stimulate that as strongly as you might like. Questions that come up, I can use this on the scalp. I've never seen it cause epilepsy. I like to use it in cases of seizures, chronic seizures, febrile seizures, and that kind of thing. Not during, in between, of course. Works fine. Lots of scalp stuff with this for my autistic kids. So this is really nice. Even if your preference is for needling, this opens up your ability a little bit to treat points that you might not otherwise be treating, to treat with stimulus that you might not otherwise be able to do, this kind of thing. Okay. So, front to back treatment takes maybe 10, 15 minutes. As you all know, those of you who have sat with me, I have a strong emphasis on local points. So for me, scalp acupuncture is local for autism. Ear, all the points around the ear is local for ear infections. For asthma, it's all the points on the chest and the back. There's a lot you can this really opens up some nice doors for you if the kids are scared of needles. I mean, good needling, especially contact needling, you can usually do it. Kid doesn't even know it's happening really, but you certainly, it's trickier to do insertion needling, kids sitting still. And what are you going to do with a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old? They're not going to sit still for needling in the same way. So this is a really nice adjunct therapy to your tweenah, to your contact needling, to your mild insertions, to your short insertion. But then you want to treat areas that you normally can't get your needles into, or the kid just isn't having it and you can do this instead. So this is a really nice tool to have in the clinic. I use it. It's kind of my bread and butter, if I'm honest. I'm usually opening up treatments with the Shonishin and then doing this, maybe some contact needling, because I really think the needling is quite powerful. But I find that this is equally powerful to the needling in certain ways. I mean, I'll still prefer to have kids lay down and do a series of needles. I think there's a synergy to doing multiple points at the same time. But this is a very, very close second. I'm very happy with my results using this. And it's harmless in the sense, I mean, it's not it's not what's the word I'm looking for? The kids aren't scared of it, you know. So it's nice. I'll just open the bag right in front of them. I keep all my Shonishin tools in there. I don't care if they can play with those. I keep stuff in there. I might even keep a couple of toys in there. So then when I open it up, I just plop it right next to them. I just set it down right next to them, open it up. There's a couple of toys already in there. They can screw around with that. They're watching me take it out. So I'm not like hiding it from them, doing it somewhere else and introducing this weird thing. I keep it all out in the open. None of this stuff is scary. None of it is frightening. So there's no reason for the kid to worry about it. I do it on the parent so the kid can see it. The kid is like, oh, the parent didn't freak out. I guess it's fine. You can do it on the stuffed animals first, all those little things. But for those of you who have asked me about the Tickle Machine, about my topical e-stim machine, this is the one that I'm using. Like I said, Pantheon will work. It's a little different, but the setup is similar. But there are a number of them that won't work. So if you're wondering which ones will and won't work, shoot me an email, davidallenlac@gmail. You can find me easily. So, okay, enjoy. Any questions you have, please, 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 please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to hear from you. Okay, bye.